it seems as all systems go for the inauguration of elected Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mngwangwa today. However, the main opposition party, that's the Citizens Coalition for Change, which is led by Nelson Chamisa, is still calling for nationwide protests against what they describe as fraudulent election results. Chamisa is also calling for a rerun of the votes. Let's unpack these developments for you. Bring in political analyst Dr Alexander Rusero, who's live to us from Harare via our video link today. Doc, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time. You know, this inauguration is not just going ahead. It seems this is happening with the endorsement of several heads of state, including President Cyril Ramaphosa. Do you reckon Triple C has not only lost the dispute of the election, but also lost, I think, support from the countries that they were hoping would back them?
I think you...
All right, we seem to be having trouble connecting to Dr. Alexander, who is live to us there from Harare. Apologies for that. Hopefully we'll be able to re-establish that connection. But yesterday, the statement dropping on our wires, President Cyril Ramaphosa joining several heads of state, heading to Zimbabwe at the National Stadium there for the inauguration of Emmerson Mngwangwa. That country, of course, heading to the polls last month. The results wildly disputed, with SADC among some of the observer missions raising concerns that the polls themselves were not able to reach international and regional standards. That notwithstanding, the president, at least by his attendance at this inauguration, appears to be endorsing the outcome of the poll. We've got Dr. Alexander Rusero back with us once again, this time via our telephone line. And apologies there, Doc. It looks like we had lost our connection to you, and I'm told even now a telephone line perhaps is not necessarily working out. Plenty, of course, will be said about President Cyril Ramaphosa's attendance of this particular inauguration. South Africa is seen as playing an important role, being an important voice in the SADC region. Several politicians in this country saying that an endorsement of an election which has been described as a sham in some instance will have South Africa paying the ultimate price, given our geographical position relative to Zimbabwe. Dr. Alexander Rusero, perhaps a third time lucky, Doc, if you can hear me. You're still taking a jab at the question I had asked about what this means now that this inauguration is taking place for the prospect of the Triple C ultimately getting that rerun that they're calling for.
Yeah, I think everyone was looking forward to the Triple C lodging a challenge of this outcome in court. But as you know, they were also jittery and hesitant, especially on the backdrop of the fact that history was about to repeat itself. They are not new to court challenges. They are not new to losing them. And we must also understand this in the context of what are the soft targets of the kind of regime that is operating in Zimbabwe. The soft targets are the judiciary, the media, and the electoral arena, the electoral processes itself. So yes, so heads of state are submitting to come to Zimbabwe as is the norm. But the truth of the matter is that there is this big question that is yet to be resolved in and outside Zimbabwe. And this is pertaining to this election. And for the first time, you also have SADC actually postulating the same for the first time really in such a way that they did to say, no, this election, it fell short of the expectations, the compliance, the standards, the norms of the SADC guiding principles and norms for the conduct of a free and fair democratic election.
Yeah, let me apologize to our viewers. Our line to you, Dr. Rusero, isn't the greatest, but hopefully we can make out at the very least what you're saying. Nelson Chamisa announcing recently that, in fact, they're no longer going to dispute the elections via the courts because they believe they're captured, but there's still going to be this protest that's going to unfold in that country to push back against the outcome. How do you reckon that's all going to unfold? Keeping in mind, of course, that Zimbabwe in some ways is going to be on show when this inauguration takes place.
Yeah, I think it's also desperation on the part of the Triple C, but they actually have a lot of routes to the wisest of an idea, given what we know is likely to emanate from that. On August 1, 2018, 6 people were shot, only for the very same leaders to say the demonstrations that the people were making were stupid. So that's not the wisest of an idea to call for protest. But what is more important is to actually attest to the reality that in Zimbabwe, politics did not end with the 23 August. Actually, politics is beginning, serious politics. And I'm very convinced that something has to give in to resolve this unfinished business of 23 August, because you cannot simply say, we are done, we are past this, it's water under the bridge, let's move on. Because the election did not really occur in such a manner that convincingly lead the insensible person to say these were free and fair elections.
Yeah. Dr. Alexander Rusero, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed for your time. The line there not too great, but we were able to make out at least the thrust of what the doctor was saying. Dr. Rusero, a political analyst based in Harare.